Welcome to the live messaging. Nice to see everybody here. Hand over. I'd like to welcome Martin Beer. Very pleased to see you here. I don't know if you want to say a few words about your role within the National Park. Or...
member of the National Park Authority and member of the Planning Committee. I'm particularly a parish member and particularly interested in the issues which parishes have, particularly over access, which I know are well covered here. We're particularly worried about the speed at which it's taking to get assessments on what the current legal status of particular rights of way are.
Oh, that's something quite close to our hearts as well. So yes, thank you. We would very much welcome your input on that. So thank you. Do you want to do that?
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to Charlotte in our new transition phase between Louise and our new arrangement for chair. So thank you very much for Charlotte acting chair for this meeting. And as we agreed at the last meeting, we will be rotating the chair, and good old Claire has volunteered to chair the next meeting. So we. We'd also like to welcome Ian Ord, but unfortunately he's not able to come. He's our new member. We have a new member, Ian Ord, but unfortunately, due to a medical problem, he's not able to come today. I'd also like to welcome an observer to the meeting, a member of the public, Bromley Simpson. Hello, Bromley. Welcome. Do you just want to say briefly what your interest in the forum is, if that's all right?
I've just launched a startup trail running events business, Trails for Good, but we're really focused on responsible running. We see too many events around the country that descend into parks and make a mess and leave and don't really give anything back to the community. So we're really focusing on that, and that's why we're here today, to hear all your concerns and make sure that we can plan events that are great for our runners, but also communities, and make sure we leave it better than we found it, hopefully.
Okay. Lovely. Thanks very much, Bromley. If anybody has any questions for Bromley, perhaps we can deal with that under any other business at the end of the meeting. If that's, are you going to stay for the whole meeting?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. And there's a free lunch if you want to hang around a bit longer. Actually, I don't know. Well, you might have to have half of mine, actually, but anyway, we'll see how I get on. Anyway, okay. Charlotte Leach is going to be 10 minutes late. She'll be here shortly. And then we've got apologies from Nick Doran, Ian Ord, as I mentioned, Councillor Susan Hobson and Jez Kenyon.
Also, Austin not.
Pardon?
Austin has just sent me his...
Has he? I wondered where he was. Austin as well. Oh dear, so we've had a few apologies this morning.
Because they heard I was talking.
Perhaps I got lost in the fog. Anyway, I think that's all that done with. So, Charlotte, back to you.
Okay. The minutes of the last meeting have been circulated. Has anybody got any comments on accuracy? Okay. So thank you very much indeed for excellent minutes. They are such a valuable resource for us all, and we are very appreciative of the work that goes into preparing the minutes for us. Right, can we deal with matters arising? Has anybody got anything that they particularly wish to draw to our attention? Martin, have you heard anything back on your letter to DCC items? So it's not been nothing back on that yet.
Sure.
Okay.
There will be a letter on its way to Martin and to the LAF about the signposting and what's happening going forward.
Thanks, Jill. Anybody else with anything? I haven't got anything else highlighted to respond to. Okay. Thank you all. Can we then move over to Claire for her? Really looking forward to this.
No pressure then. Thought I'd do it on my official work, Christie branded PowerPoint here. So, hi everyone. You probably all know me because I've been on the laugh forever. I thought it was actually, since 2011. And probably a lot of people are like, what does Claire actually do? Because I'm not actually very good at anything in particular that the laugh does. And I'm always amazed at all the experts that we've got and the wealth of knowledge that people have got. And I don't have that about anything really that we talk about. What I am is a generalist and an amateur enthusiast. So a quick bit of background about me. You know what, I'm going to pop this up on my phone. So no, this is well done. Right, here we go. Right, so I'm a fell runner. So I belong to the FRA, I belong to Gorwick Valley Striders, that's my local club. I'm an orienteer as well. So I belong to British Orienteering. I'm a Grade C controller, which means that I am qualified to judge that people's courses are the right level of technical difficulty and they're not going to send a load of children off a cliff, that sort of thing. So Grade C means I can only do it at local events. I couldn't do it at a mountain marathon or something. I can just do it at sort of low-level park events. I'm a member of the Motorcycling Club, which is certainly it's the UK's oldest club. It's the motorcycling club. And it's a trials club. It organises competitions. You've probably heard of the Edinburgh Trial around here in September, October time. It's just happened. Most of the other stuff they do is down south in the southwest, so that's probably the business of other local access forums. But yeah, I'm a member of the Motorcycling Club. And the Auto Cycle Union, which is the body that gives competition licences for people who want to compete on motorbikes. So I'm a qualified trialist. I'm really, really bad at it. I always fall off. And I'm a member of the Trail Riders Fellowship, and I'm a member of Rally Moto, which I discovered as I got a bit older. I realised that actually you can go orienteering on motorbikes, which is great because then you don't have to run. So Rally Moto is really cool because it's navigation, but everyone's tracked, so everyone wears a GPS tracker, which means that the competition isn't about going fast and it's not about who's first. It's actually about who's most accurate at navigating. And it's the GPS tracking allows the organiser to put in speed penalties, so we can put in speed control zones. Anyone who speeds, just automatic fail. It's a really cool way of doing motorsport in a way that's much nicer for other users. Tends to be in not closed forests, but it tends to buy access to Kielder Forest and forests down in sort of mid Wales. So they're not closed roads, but they tend to be put into areas where fewer other users go. I won't go into the rest of what I do, but that's just kind of a bit about me, really. Mark, could we go to the next slide, please? So that's me as you know me. This is like work me. I'm not a clinician. I've got a PhD in philosophy, which isn't actually very useful for anything in particular, except that it kind of shows that you're tolerably clever and you can kind of finish a job. That's basically what having a PhD in philosophy means. And I've got one of those job titles that kind of is really opaque and you're like, it doesn't really leave you any the wiser about what I do. What I actually do is I work at the Christie Hospital, which is a specialist cancer hospital in Manchester, just does cancer and cancer adjacent diseases. And it also spends a lot of time dealing with the sort of long-term side effects that people are left with after they've been treated for cancer. So it deals with cancer and then the health problems that we give you after we've treated your cancer. And what I do is I sort of lead the team that looks after the Christie initiated, the Christie sort of homegrown research, the research that the doctors at the Christie have kind of created themselves rather than running, pharmaceutical company drug trials and that kind of thing. I don't really tend to work on that kind of stuff. So my expertise is around clinical research on human beings, really. And I thought today, so my topic is health and well-being, but I thought that's really broad and I've only got 10 minutes. So I'm going to give you a quick tour about some resources that I use which provide hard evidence about the benefits of access to green space and sort of exercising in the outdoors, really. So here's a quick things we already know, and I'm not going to dwell on this because Jack Cornish, who came last November, was much more eloquent and just much better informed as well. But as a quick guide, we already know that having access to blue or green space can really improve your sort of health and well-being. And your willingness to exercise as well. It's just much nicer, isn't it, exercising in the fresh air? It can improve mental health as well. It's not just about physical health. So, it obviously improves kind of weight management, can help with type 2 diabetes, it can help with blood pressure problems, but it actually improves mental health as well. And there's a whole load of great resources out there, and I promised that I'd include a really brilliant resource that Jill gave me, and then I forgot to put it in about Derbyshire's sort of Move More, isn't it?
It's sort of connecting, yes, with nature.
Yeah.
And different places where you can go and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
I think I did put it in one of my reports, but we can all circulate it.
Yeah, I think we'd like to circulate it again about a brilliant resource that DCC have out there, which I was going to give a plug to and failed to. So essentially, we know that there are barriers to access. We know that there's a sort of inequity of provision in England and Wales based on that wonderful Ramblers publication that Jack presented to us last year. And we know that the provision is really unequal, and the most deprived communities in England and Wales are missing out on the greatest proportion of public rights of way, and they would have a lot more if the public rights of way had been accurately registered at the time. So here's the bit about the resources. So this is my number one easy to get to resource for everyone, as long as you've got about £7 a week, because it's quite an expensive magazine, which is New Scientist magazine. And it's one of those magazines. So I'm an enthusiastic sort of layperson. I'm not actually trained as a scientist beyond kind of A-level. It's just one of those magazines, and you open it, and literally every page is like, I did not know that, and it's mind-blowing. So it's a really great resource to get science news without having it filtered through, the popular press. It's not like the Daily Express says coffee causes cancer, and then next week it's like the Daily Express says coffee prevents cancer, and you're like, well, which is it then? So it's like it's still written by generalists, but it's meant for a kind of enthusiastic lay audience. It's not the popular press. It is a science publication. And so this is just an article that I found just in one of the September issues. So did you know that there's actually a study? It was quite an old study when I clicked on the link, but it's quite an old study. But actually, just people who could see a verdant scene from their window recovered 3 times faster after surgery and needed less pain medication than people who looked out over a brick wall. And that's just looking at nature. And actually, they found that it actually worked if it was just a photo as well. It didn't even have to be a real scene. So that's amazing. So the cool thing about New Scientist is that you can click on the links in the subscription edition, and it'll take you to the scholarly papers that the articles are about. And that's just another example here. So someone's done an example of research into the health benefits of natural sounds and their distribution in national parks. It's a lovely thing. Honestly, you should get New Scientist. Can we go on to the next one, please, Mike? So this is into the more kind of, this is really my work now. So clinicaltrials.gov is a resource so clinical trials are a really specific sort of research on humans. A lot of research is quite observational. It's just kind of following people through the course of their illness. Clinical trials tend to be interventional. They're sort of directing, we're going to do something, usually a physical thing, to people at certain time points and see what the effect is. So clinical trials are a kind of subset of research, and they tend to be more rigorous. Clinicaltrials.gov is a free resource. Anyone can have access to it. You don't have to work in medicine. There's a kind of general worldwide increase in trying to make results of clinical trials transparent, so people don't hide the results of trials that didn't show what they wanted to, and also so the general public can get better informed about the sort of research that's out there for your health conditions. So you can get onto clinicaltrials.gov and do a search for terms that you're interested in, for example, green space. Mike, could you just pop open that first link for me? The Parco del Mar study. It's not updated on the screen. Sorry, be right with you. Do Do you need to share a window? Because it's on there, but it's not on
Oh, is
there.
it not showing on that?
No.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I don't have to do that.
I think you have to share your window.
You know how to do that.
Yeah. Go into room Teams.
Go back to the presentation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can just click on it from the presentation. Yeah, then it should open up full circle. Oh, it's still not doing it. Oh, you know what? Right, I'll just tell you about it. So what you can't see is a big page which describes kind of a summary level what this research is. So this clinicaltrials.gov, it's not just in the UK, it's worldwide. That study, the top link that I was going to show you about, is happening in Italy just now. And people are basically assigned to do exercise in a park. And then the effects are measured on their health and well-being. At the moment, the study's still going on. It's going to finish later this year, I think. And then there's a little button that you can click that says results posted. So when it's finished and the doctors or the people who've done the study have written it up, you'll be able to see the results there. So clinicaltrials.gov is a really ace resource that I thought perhaps most of the lab haven't heard of because it's in my daily line of work, but not in yours. There's also things like PubMed. I'm not sure, PubMed is a bit more specific because to get access to all of the articles, you quite often need to have a hospital or university login. If you'd like me to search PubMed for anything you're interested in, I'm super happy to do that. You can get access to some resource as just a general reader, but some of it is kind of restricted to organisations that have paid a licence to PubMed. So have a look at PubMed. It's general research. It's not just clinical trials. It's broader than that. But honestly, some of it, if you see something interesting and you can't see the paper, give me a shout and I'll pull it off my work laptop for you. Okay, we can move on one more.
I don't know why I wasn't sharing that.
That's all right. So this slide's hideous, right? I don't want you to read all of it. Also, because I've kind of weirdly distorted it. All I wanted to say was, I'm reasonably recent in working at the Christie, so I used to work at just a really general hospital, and you know, it's really well known about the general health benefits on all, you know, weight loss and that kind of thing. But I didn't realise until quite recently when I started working at the Christie that actually exercise can have a beneficial effect on cancer patients. And so the terminology that you see in this article, this is just what I want you to take away from it, is the sort of language and the sort of terms and the sort of endpoints that we measure in formal clinical trials of medicines. And it's showing that actually exercise throughout, when people are actually receiving treatment from cancer, you know, received opinion is someone's receiving treatment from cancer, you don't want to burden their body with extra stress. When they've got a disease, you're giving them some pretty nasty treatment, you want to keep them wrapped up. But no, actually, this study and others show that exercising can, you know, for example, it's beneficial in the prevention and treatment of the cardiotoxic effects of a really nasty old chemotherapy that affects your heart, it damages your heart. And it can prevent recurrence as well, because an awful lot of cancers are related to obesity. And so actually people who exercise, patients with breast cancer, lose weight. And therefore exercise can ameliorate the risk factor of weight gain, which increases the risk of breast cancer recurrence. Okay, last one, I think. Oh, two more, yeah. So I won't click on these links because they probably won't work. You can search for, so ASCO is the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Their summer meeting in summer of 2024 had quite a lot of interesting things about just more details about the benefits of exercise in patients who've got cancer. And this is my final thought. So my final reflection is that we know that access to green and blue space and to the sounds and smells of the natural world can have a significant beneficial effect on mental and physical health. And we know also that there's significant inequities of access in getting access to blue and green space. And our job, or part of our job here on the lab, is to push for greater equity. And we're doing that against a background of austerity measures. And certainly for the local councils, we know that other things sometimes shout louder than increasing access. So I hope that in your various projects where you're trying to increase access, I've provided you with some resources that maybe you wouldn't have come across in your own professional spheres to bolster your arguments as to why we need to keep pushing this. And I just wanted to close with that reflection that it is honestly quite a new revelation to me that exercise is in any way beneficial to cancer. And to be perfectly honest, I couldn't find any super clear evidence that access specifically in green and blue space particularly help with cancer. But I would say that if I get cancer, that's where I'm going to be doing my exercises. So I just want to close by saying that, 1 in 2 of us here is going to get cancer, and almost everyone here has probably been affected by cancer in one way or another. So let's keep pushing to increase access. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for that, Claire. It's absolutely fascinating because we're all aware of the beneficial effects of the outdoors, but to actually see that it's backed up by clinical research is amazing. Has anybody got any questions for Claire? You have absolutely slayed them. Well done. Lovely.
Throw something in. I was really good. This is the stuff that will drive change essentially. So in the summer reception that I went to with DEFRA, Steve Reed, and I've got his speech in front of me. He said, "Access to nature has a key part to play in Labour's mission to rebuild our NHS and improve the health of our nation." And that one standout sentence for me, in amongst all the other things he said, was so important because he's got these 5 pillars, 5 missions, whatever he's calling them, and rebuilding the NHS is one. That's where we sit, access to nature, then we need to absolutely major on all this stuff, and that's what we've really tried to do. I think what we're not very good at always as a sector is being able to show how we can reduce costs instead of adding costs. So if I said tomorrow we're going to get more access in the Peak District to rivers and moorland, I'm sure the local authorities, Peak National Park, will probably have their head in their hand and think, how the hell are we going to resource that? Equally, on the other hand, there's probably long-term cost savings with people being healthier, fitter, prevention. You talked about prevention. So yes, we're doing it against a background of austerity where there's going to be absolute pressure on resources and challenges with delivering it. But on the other hand, the benefits to the wider society, to other parts of local government and national government are huge. And that's all well evidenced. It's all well evidenced. It's just we are really poor at joining the dots between the saving made here is cost savings. Sorry, the investment made here is the cost saving over here, and we're rubbish because government is so segmented into departments and departmental budgets. To see something that's delivered maybe through DEFRA or DCMS, the saving that's then in public health, it's really hard to draw those lines. But absolutely, this is the stuff that will drive the change in this government, certainly.
Thanks, Ben. Louise.
Well, yeah. Thank you, Claire. I think, I kind of agree with what Ben has said. I guess on a local level, it really made me reflect that we can often think of things like Miles Without Styles as being about access for people with mobility challenges, and of course they're also about access for people with. I mean, if you're being treated with any of these kind of chemotherapy or even radiotherapy type drugs, you're tired. So access for people with extreme fatigue, people who can't walk very far, people, and I think the idea of some things like Miles for Styles and the Access for All work being also about supporting people who are in recovery and those kinds of things who are not going to be tramping out into the middle of nowhere. It was just really useful to kind of reflect on that, having had 2 friends who've both gone through for different reasons, different things, where that's been the case for them. Suddenly that resource became immensely important for us. It kind of made me reflect on that. And a question for you, which is, are there groups, say at the Christie, who are taking groups of people who are in recovery out on walks and things? Like we know there are mental health groups going out into the Peak, or I know there's a brain injury group that goes out as well. Are there does the Christie have those groups or links with the park?
To my knowledge, but there is, and I'm trying to forge this link, there is a theme called Living With and Beyond Cancer at the Christie. I'm trying to push that agenda with that group. But no, at the moment, no, there is not. Yeah, and there should be.
Yes, Alistair.
Yeah, it was touching on what you just said actually about how do you put people in contact with the areas or the sites where they can benefit from the green or blue space? So we've got sites all over Yorkshire, and I don't doubt that people go out there with cancer or recovering from treatment from cancer, probably just independently. But we've touched on green prescribing on a couple of sites, which has worked really well. But we've had to engage with the Groundwork Trust for one of the sites to do that. And it's just how do you get that information out there, I suppose, which kind of touched on, is there a group that helps people? Because, you know, it must be an incredibly scary time from the very beginning and throughout. And you're probably getting your head around that without having to try and reach out to a group or, where do I go for this exercise? But if that's made a bit easier, and I'd certainly like to push our sites out there to a group or the individuals. Is it a leaflet in a waiting room, for example? It's a bit old-fashioned, but does it work? You know, and it's just, I just wondered, I ain't got any answers, but it's just, I just wondered what was in place at the moment, you know.
I don't think there is right now, but when people first go to the Christie, they get a big pack of stuff, and it's information and also a whole load of questionnaires. So maybe we ought to find a way of linking up so that, you know, groups and things that they can do when they're feeling well to get out there and just have a little walk is part of the pack that cancer hospitals give to patients when they show up for their first appointment. I don't think we do that, and we could probably relatively easily, I would have thought. Yeah, that sounds really good.
Craig.
Yeah, no, really interesting. Yeah, we're preparing a business case to DEFRA for our landscape recovery project. I forget what it is now. But anyway, so in the High Peak, you know, we've got about 11,000 hectares going into that business case. And one of the things we've been talking about is those additional benefits, you know, rural economy, you know, health and well-being being one. So this was really interesting and well timed. So, but I don't know if you do any external consultancy work, but but no, I mean, I'd definitely be interested in talking to you, because it'd be really good to articulate and evidence the benefits of a healthy natural environment and access throughout that, you know, and what those cost savings might be to the public purse and benefits to people on an individual level. So, but no, thank you for that. That was really interesting.
That sounds really good. I'm slightly wondering if we can add this to... The Christie's quite interested in its green footprint, and I'm wondering if I can push it, because maybe it'll tick that box as well. Like, we're measuring the environmental cost of radiotherapy, including people's transport to the appointments and stuff like that. I'm wondering if maybe there's a way of linking it in there as well, perhaps. That would be very cool.
Thanks, Claire. Yes, Martin, and then we actually have Rachel Lyon with us, who is the National Park Young People and Communities. So would you like to say something after Martin? Thank you. Martin.
Thanks very much. I notice you're a member of the Hedgehog Preservation Society. Yeah. I think there's a recent Guardian article just pushing, trying to promote an increased number of hedgehogs, and one of the things we can all do is just put holes in our fences amongst that. You also mentioned exercise, and again, another article just today was talking about with walking that it's actually, you get more benefits by actually having a rest. So when you're walking, and they use the analogy of the car, that it becomes more efficient over time. As we walk for quite a few hours, we get more efficient. So have a rest, and then your body has to restart again. So I thought it was quite interesting. I hadn't really thought of that one. What I would just pick up, you're talking about stark inequality. I think certainly getting people out, one of the things which we look at trying to get people to green space, particularly sort of areas of probably deprivation, is just the quality of the jitties, the ginnels, the infrastructure of getting there. And two examples at the moment, I've got a young grandson, so I'm pushing him round the streets of Leeds. It's a poorer part, The green spaces are full of litter. The guineals and jitties are a bit of a nightmare to push through. I mean, huge barriers to really get anyone out before you even start. And then even nearer to home, there's a step of steps in Matlock Bath, which I think they have finally cleared them. It's a right of way going down, but there was buddleia growing. And I think the thing to do, remember, is with access, it's talking about sort of walkers and cyclists, but also with that category of walkers of pedestrians. You know, not everybody's going to be wearing trainers. So it's having a really, certainly for urban areas, having a really good, high quality infrastructure to get people, even if it's a couple of 100 metres just to the local park or the shop. That all helps that sort of break down those inequalities.
Thanks, Martin. Rachel.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Rachel Lyon. I'm the Young People and Communities team leader here at the Peak District National Park. I manage our young people work and our health and wellbeing work. So I thought I was invited to come and say a little bit about what we're doing at the moment, and you know, I think some of the conversation going on around the table. So you know, we have a small team of people who work on this, and although it's small, but we are making good strides in how we link up across the national park around health and wellbeing, linking up with professionals, NHS, other organisations, and how we support organisations. And I think your question about how do we get information out, how do we invite people in, how do we get the right conversations going is really key to that, and how do we move forward based on research and evidence and what interventions work for different people is really important, and listening to the communities and those particular groups of people about their needs and what support they need to help get them out when it's the right time for them and their needs. So that's the approach we've been taking. So we've been linking with organisations rather than individuals predominantly. So we're working with either organisations that have social prescribers or have link workers, etc., and working with those practitioners to then reach their participants when they're ready to invite them out. And we're doing a lot of work, particularly with mental health organisations, those people with memory loss conditions, and moving into more physical health as well. But, you know, a lot of that is around supporting them to build up their practice as well. So they're the experts with their individuals, their conditions, etc., but maybe not the confidence to bring them out to, you know, build in that connection to nature and access to green spaces in a wider sense. So we're doing that two-way thing of, you know, what can we help you with, and what can we offer you in terms of support and getting out, building confidence, information sharing, signposting, etc. So at the moment we're working on a couple of different projects. We've been working with the RSPB for quite a long time on nature prescriptions in the Peak District. We've done 2 trials of nature prescriptions. We're looking at that. We've just reviewed it recently, and we're looking to grow that and expand that across the national park, and looking at changing the resource around that to make it a national park-wide resource. A number of other national parks are also working on nature prescriptions as well, and that's a really good resource in terms of connecting people with nature and for themselves at home in their own space, in their own local park, as well as in the national park. We're also working on a Peaks of Health project, which is based in the south of the park, which is an area of the national park we have kind of struggled to reach more in this area. So we're trying to sort of build connections there, and that particularly works around connecting with those organisations, training for participants and for workers, linking with our cycle hire centres, which we've not done a huge amount of, but we've developed a lot more accessible equipment. So how can we maybe link organisations up in that way, is kind of accessed in a different way for health and well-being and exploring the park further, etc. But also as part of that, we're going to be producing a resource that is more like you were saying, is it that document that is on the table in the doctor's surgery that links people in? How do we connect people through, you know, an intervention into Miles Without Styles, into a sensory walk or a family walk, or, you know, whatever it is that's the next step for them, without it being too many hurdles and too many things to jump through. Because we've got lots of information, but not always in a format that is readily available for people in a moment when they need it. So what is that format? So we're doing quite a lot in this. We've also recently set up a health and wellbeing network, which we've just establishing, and that's very new. So that will be something that will help us support this and grow this area of work and grow our connection across organisations, bringing in you know, research, how we work together, how we complement each other, how we share best practice in an area that's kind of emerging and growing and changing quite quickly.
Thank you. That's amazing. It's good to know that this work's going on in the background, and perhaps you come back to us if you think there's something that we can help with in the LAF. We'd be very pleased to do that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
thank you.
We'll come back and share.
Marvellous. Thank you very much. Anything else? Anything else? Thank you, Claire. That was amazing. Well done. Expected no less. Thank you. Right. Sue, active travel update.
It's not this one. Okay, my first update to the Local Access Forum today follows seamlessly on after Claire's presentation and Rachel's update, because this work is also about connecting access, more people, more active, and it's that access to nature as well, and delivering on many other key areas that we're looking at. So, as you heard at the last forum meeting, the National Park, along with the other 9 English national parks, received each 100,000 of funding to enable us to develop inclusive active travel programmes. It's looking at plan development. So in our area, we've said we're looking at 4 key areas. So the plan development, so our equivalent of a local cycling, walking, wheeling and horse riding infrastructure plan. And we will be delivering that by next March. We're focusing on a high-level network, but it's not just about plan production, it's also about building up the data and the evidence. Very much partnership and engagement, and again looking at feasibility and audits and surveys. So over the last few months, we focused the work on consultations, working with our co-located highway authorities and obtaining data. So we've had 2 workshops with our highway authorities, and we've also last week held our workshop with major landowners. Charlotte has been at all workshops, and this afternoon we have the workshop with the Local Access Forum and stakeholders. We've also been installing internet-enabled people counters, so we will be using them and looking at Strava data to give us more evidence, Strava data and visitor surveys to help provide feedback on the type and level of use, and that will help us prioritise and monitor and evaluate any identified improvements. Along this wall here are some of the plans from the first 2 workshops. We've got another plan that we'll be working, or some more plans for you, covering the national park that we'll be working on at the workshop this afternoon. On Monday, we hosted a visit by Active Travel England to show them some of the work we're doing, some of the sites that we're currently looking at that have come through from these initial workshops, and some ones that we've known about for a long time and had our aspirations and ambitions for. And they also met with the chair and vice chair of the authority, and also our chair of the Local Access Forum, Charlotte. Attached, there's 2 recommendations to this report. The second recommendation is terms of reference for the subgroup, which are provided. We will be discussing at the workshop this afternoon about the representation around the table, and thank you very much to those members of the forum who will be joining us this afternoon and contributing to the workshop and helping move this work forward. I will look forward to updating subgroups at future gatherings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. And I'd just like to say, I've I attended all the workshops, and I think it shows the value that the National Park attributes to the Local Access Forum, and that it values our opinions and that our guidance and our support. I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. All the workshops had the same format, but we got vastly different outcomes from each of the groups. And I thought it was a very worthwhile experience. I attended the lunch with Active Travel England, and I'm very pleased to report that they were engaged in what was going on. They were interested in what people had to say. They weren't there with their own agenda. They came to listen, and I thought that was very good. They were also incredibly impressed by the work that's going on within the National Park, and just like to thank Sue very much for highlighting that, because that was, you know, they were saying that it was a beacon of what they were hoping to achieve, and the things that we were already doing were very much appreciated. Has everybody had chance to have a look at the terms of reference? Does anybody have any comment that they wish to make? Please could I ask that you vote to approve the terms of reference? Those in favour? Those against? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. I'm very much looking forward to this afternoon when we can start to expand it a little bit more, and then the role that the Local Access Forum subgroup will have in monitoring the project moving forward. So I think it will be a very worthwhile piece of work, and I would encourage you all to get involved either on a regular or an irregular basis, but at least to monitor the reports as they come forward. So thank you all for that. Jill, you...
Thank you very much. Well, hopefully everybody's seen my report, had a chance to have a look at it, but I'll just skip through some of the main sort of highlights in there. So under the existing rights of way network, we have a revised list of schemes that's going to be delivered in this LAFS area for 24-25. There are less than were anticipated because of the need to target funds on carriageway repairs, potholes, etc. But good to know, and just getting back to the letter, Martin, that you prepared, there is that continued investment in signposting. So again, more financial resource to replace 400 signs this year as well. Along with purchasing some waymark discs to help along the route itself, not just from, you know, where paths leave the road. So hopefully that's reassuring. I've just put a list in there. We were talking earlier about the need to clarify the legal status of routes, of progress that's being made to deal with definitive map modification orders. So what's been received, you know, what's been consulted on, and obviously they still continue to come in. The volunteers are actively researching a lot of these routes. The joint unrecorded ways subgroup met back in August to sort of feed the ideas in about how these different orders could be prioritised. The County Council at the moment has a chronological order of receipt in the way that it picks up and deals with applications. So at that meeting, Charlotte, I think it's fair to say everybody pooled in their ideas, didn't they?
Yes.
Which Jeff Cole from the DADLAF, who chairs that group, is putting together so that we can return to the forum and say this is the advice that the local access forums would like to give to the County Council, just for sort of approval really from the main forums as well.
I think, Jill, that section of your report, it shows how many are coming in and how many are being dealt with, and I think it's stark that it shows how many new orders are being made, and because of the process that they have to go through, how few orders are actually being made on the ground. So I think it just that really shows what the problem is and why it's important that we prioritise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. So then there's just under AIM 3, the improved network, some updates on the Pennine Bridleway, on the White Peak Loop, and the Derwent Valley Trail. which are the main projects that we're working on in the National Park. Under the Active Travel Master Plans, I've reported before about the consultations for Belper, Glossop and Ilkeston, but then also now the Hope Valley Active Travel Master Plan, which is quite different. It's not just focused on a market town, that is a real area-wide initiative. And I think both Charlotte and Martin, you attended an online consultation, didn't you? I don't know if either of you want to sort of give any feedback from that. I think, Martin, you were on behalf of the LAF. Charlotte, you were representing Peak Horsepower.
Yes, yes. Martin, do you want to make a comment?
Can do, thanks, Jill. Yeah, it's Hope Valley, just got the title right, Hope Valley Active Travel Master Plan, and they're looking to enhance and introduce options for cycling, walking, wheeling and public transport in the Hope Valley region. Population of 9,000, and I think they host 7 million car visitors a year, which is extraordinary. They're working on previous Pedal Peak survey in 2014 to 15, and then the ongoing Travelling Light project, which is led by the Hope Valley Climate Action Group. So it really is a starting point, and they want to look at really linking towns and villages and communities in the Hope Valley. And certainly I've been out to have a look at Bradwell. The main road to Bradwell has been closed for a long time, and it's now finally open. But certainly, as a walker, you can get from Bradwell to Hope and Bamford, the other communities. As a pedestrian and a cyclist, Bradwell is pretty isolated, so it would enhance enormously improving that community. And I think just generally along, just making it better for public cycling. So really interesting. Thing that they've got vision, and they've got a number of objectives. They're also, as well, along with cycling, they're trying to provide for horse riders where practical as well. So it's a really good project, and I think sort of pretty exciting, and certainly the vision they've got for it.
Yeah, just to touch on the horse riding side of it, it's the Bridleway network is quite fragmented either side of the main road. So where bridleways cross or quiet lanes, it's good that the horse riders will be considered. I don't think anybody would particularly want to ride the whole length up from Hathersage up to Castleton, but the access to the quiet lanes and the bridleways that abut that road, it would be fantastic for us to get some provision so that the horse riders can use that a little bit better. So I think that's great that that's been included.
Thank you both for that. That's useful feedback to have. And there was actually an in-person event as well, which Martin, you were talking about representing the parishes. A lot of the local parish councils went to that and gave some very good feedback on their particular areas and settlements within the area. So it looks like there's going to be a wider public consultation in November, which is going to fall between the two local access forums. So when that comes live, I'll get that out to everybody, and whether we want to look at possibly doing a response to that from the LAF.
Yes, I think once the consultation's out and we've all had a chance to have a look at it, and then I think we could do a joint response from the LAF, and I'll either Claire or I can coordinate that, but we can do it by email, I think, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay, thank you. So on the nature recovery side, we've just been talking about connecting with nature. So obviously we need some nature there that's flourishing to actually be able to enjoy. So there's work underway at the moment to prepare a local nature recovery strategy for Derbyshire. The information I mentioned, Claire, the link I sent to you, that is where information has been all gathered together so people can look at it and see where they can go, see what places exist near them. And I think different organisations have been encouraged to add information to it. I think even the Derbyshire Wildlife Trust might have put stuff in there. So it is that resource. And I don't know whether we can get, we had a meeting quite a while ago now with somebody who was leading on that, whether we want to come back and have something from them as well as the National Park, to see what's actually being done to try and encourage people and tell people where they can go. So again, more consultation is on the way. It looks like we've got some consultation planned for early 2025 on the local nature recovery strategy. I think, Martin, you went along to one of the different online events or in-person events,
No, I
maybe.
didn't get to the online.
Right, so it's an in-person.
So I've missed 2 previous meetings in person. That's one I was at Shipley, but by then they couldn't make a series of workshops. So I couldn't get to that.
Right, okay. So, but those have been going on over the summer and a little bit into the autumn to get people's views. Finally, there's just a few things in there about the update on the Countryside Code, talking about, you know, responsible use of the countryside, a little bit about Walk Derbyshire and our Cycle Derbyshire leaflets, which are a good resource for people to see places that they can go, the trails that they can go and enjoy. And finally, you know, something that's close to this forum's heart is, you know, the contribution that volunteers make, and we still have our service level agreement ongoing with Groundwork, getting people out there. So during the first 6 months of the year, there were 154 days facilitated by Groundwork, and that's estimated to be worth just over £30,000, which is nowhere near what we actually pay for those 6 months. So it's really good value for money, and getting stuff done on our trails, countryside sites and public rights of way. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Jill. Thank you very much for that. Has anybody got any questions? Martin.
Jill, thanks very much. Comprehensive as ever. Just a quick on aim 3 on the Derwent Valley Trail. You've got the route runs between Shardlow and Hathersage. Should that be Chatsworth, or have we extended it to Hathersage? Or have they? It's on the last line on page 4.
No, we've looked at the whole route from Shardlow, which is to the southeast of Derby, up to the boundary with Derby City, where it goes along the Riverside Path. And then it will emerge again out of Darley Abbey to then head up through the valley and picks up part of the White Peak Loop and then heads into Chatsworth and off up to Hathersage. So it's that whole, it's the vision of the Derwent Valley Trust to have that whole route. And eventually because we had a meeting with them a little while ago, the overall vision, and Ben will know about this, is to, you know, be able to walk and cycle and horse ride up the valley, but then to actually come back in a canoe. So you can do a circuit that way. So yes, it's quite an interesting vision involving the trails and the blue space as well. So
Okay, fascinating. Well, look forward.
Jill, it was just the termination that I was just querying. So Hathersage rather than, so I thought it was Chatsworth, but
no, it'll carry on up beyond Chatsworth,
excellent.
through
That's really
Baslow,
yeah. I
up
mean,
to Grindleford and
even
Hathersage.
better if it gets to Sheffield. Yeah. Can I also just on your first point on the about the missing signpost, 2,000 waymarker discs already purchased. I mean, that's a really welcome surprise from Rights Away for that. So I mean, having just been walking for a week in Shropshire, it's really well waymarked, and I think there's always been discussion over how much you need waymarks. Some people have the view that if you've got an OS app now, do you need a waymarker? I mean, I still find they're pretty useful. Other people say we don't want to be covering the countryside in signs everywhere, which I also go along with. But then for a lot of people, if they don't have the OS, they turn up with just a guide for a page and whatever, trying to find a junction. So I think that's I'm generally supportive. And the Ramblers, we have just spent £400 buying 150 waymarkers, including bridleway ones. So we shall be adding to that. And of course, I will be only replacing existing waymarkers, which is what my remit is for. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty.
Anybody else? Thank you, Jill. That was excellent. Oh, sorry, Louise.
Yeah, I'm just really struck by the contrast between the statement in Aim 1 about the movement of funding away from rights of way network repairs to road carriageway repairs. And all of our discussions about health and the network and, you know, £100,000 that we've got for this active travel work, the contrast between those two things just really, really struck me, that we're trying to do our best around healthy access to the countryside. We've got this pot of money to look at active travel and a plan for cycling and walking and wheeling. And then the money that we really need, which is to keep the network in good condition, is diverted onto roads, which is the real pot of money that we really kind of need. And I just thought that financial contrast really kind of brought starkly into focus some of the kind of challenge that we face. Is we've got lots of good intentions, but underneath us the rug keeps being pulled. Work doesn't, that important big picture maintenance work doesn't get done. Sorry, that's it's not
No,
positive. I
think
don't have an
that-
answer. I just really felt like I had to say it.
Thank you, Louise. I think that's an excellent point, well made. And I think we see a lot of initiatives, a lot of schemes, but actually getting things delivered on the ground, it's very, very difficult. And I think that the county do a lot with very few resources, and it's very disappointing when those few resources are directed elsewhere. And I don't know whether long term there is something that can be done about funding, because we're looking at a lot of things around Pennine Bridleway, a lot of the active travel stuff that's coming forward, Miles Without Styles. It's all dependent on getting those surfaces right, and it is big budget stuff. And I think unless we can talk to national government and get a change in how funding is provided, I think that most of it will be aspirational and we will never see it delivered on the ground, which is very, very sad. And I thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, and I just want to underline it's not a criticism of that Rights of Way team.
No.
I can see why those decisions have been made. It's just frustrating.
Jill, would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, we are now part of the East Midlands Combined County Authority, and there will be funding coming down from that. I don't think we quite understand yet exactly when, how much it'll be, but, you know, I'll be reporting back on that to see where that funding is going to be targeted. We know we're going to get some for active travel. There'll be some for maintenance as well. So, yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Jill. Okay. Over to you, Sue, the access update, please.
I'll come and stand up here for pointing to things. Shall I do that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Oh, I won't stand in front of it. I've provided. Yeah, thank you for mentioning about funding. The active travel work is about plan development. It's about capacity building, capability building, for us to identify initially the key level or a network at a key network, high level network, but also as well to identify where the gaps are, where the improvements are needed. And what I've done with this paper today with the access update is just identify 3 of the areas of work that we've been looking at. There are many other access projects taking place within the national park, providing those connections with this landscape. But these are 3 ones that the Local Access Forum have been hearing about over time, so I've just drawn together and presenting by way of pictures. So the Local Access Forum's heard about the anniversary gates. Really this stemmed from 10 years ago at the 10th anniversary of the introduction of Crowland in 2014. On the 19th of September, we celebrated the 20th anniversary, but not quite in the same way that we did on the 10th. On the 10th, we met together, and everyone from a range of different organisations and the Local Access Forum were very much pivotal to this, where we were talking about what do we need. So what about the next 10 years and beyond? And one of the key things that we said back then was about accessibility. So back in 2004, we had the access. In 2014, we were talking about the accessibility to that access. So one of the things that we did on another anniversary, on the 70th anniversary of the legislation which gave us national parks, we said, okay, let's look at gates. Let's look at the actual access points, how people get onto access land. You've also heard as well about various other accessibility initiatives. Miles Without Styles is one of the key ones that the Local Access Forum's been very involved with. So they were the routes. Anniversary Gates is the access points into our wilder areas. So it's the wild side access points, looking about replacing and renewing access points, looking at how we link access and looking at the signage for that. And I've just done some pictures and pictures with people. Because before, sometimes you've had before and afters with access points. So here's a style, here's a lovely gate in its place. But these are all the people that have been involved. And in the report, I've listed some of the people involved, ranging from those who have helped fund this work. So we were kick-started by the Advocate Foundation with a donation to the Access Fund from that. But the contributions came from filming, from walking groups, from events that were held, and repeated donations through those as well, and from individuals. And those donations ranged from £5 to £5,000. Also from the Local Access Forum, because when we started off the Access Fund, we did a cake. A cake sale for that, and there were also donations. And here we are with the first anniversary gates right in the centre picture there. So we have 2 anniversary gates that everyone donated for gates for the previous chairs, Ed Wheeler and John Thompson, who sadly couldn't be there on the day, and with one of our other former chairs, Andrew McCloy. Various other people working, running around. So we have our countryside maintenance and projects team. So here and here are Peak Park Conservation volunteers, here and here. That was OutKit. So not only did OutKit donate funding for some anniversary gates up on Ossams Hill, they also came out and made the gates as well. Our area rangers, so that's up at Agden, getting on here, and others involved as well. And I think you've put that sign the right way around, is that right, Mike? So, specialist input from everyone. So everyone's been involved with that, and 70 plus gates. So again, we went with numbers, we went with anniversaries. So 70 gates. And you've heard me say before, you know, sometimes the style is just a step too far for people. So that's what we've been looking at. So. And that's a thank you. And my levelling of the thank you donations over the years is probably the same as our levelling of the maps as displayed in the room. But that's just to show that we have really welcomed all the donations. We hope we've shown from that we've put the donations to good use. It's not just gates. We've installed bridges, we've installed railings, steps. We've provided for new access, new link access. But it's not just the Access Fund, it's also through the Farming and Protected Landscape Scheme that supported the delivery of new access, new routes and new improved access to and within access land. And that leads me on nicely. Oh, you will hear an update about fundraising from Mike and any other business, because the foundation has been our partner in supporting donations for access, and they've developed the Path and Trails funding mechanism. So you'll hear that update later on. And Farming and Protected Landscapes. More gates here, but more signage as well. So it's providing the information that people need. So Martin mentioned about the waymarking. Waymarking gives confidence. we provide waymarking. It's quite a skill actually, providing the right amount of waymarking for people and the right amount of information for people in order to be able to explore and follow a route with confidence. The minor properties that the authority owns, again, there's been reports on these to the Local Access Forum over the years. We didn't dispose of them as per a previous consultation to the Local Access Forum. We've kept them and we're enhancing them. So what we're doing on these four sites here, and I've got a couple of plans that I'll send down if people want to just see where the gates are and the information. And what we're doing on those, we're providing new gates and new interpretation panels. And when I say new gates, widening, new wider gates, so to improve accessibility for all users on those. Next one, please, Mike. Okay, another project funded by Farming and Protected Landscapes, and Martin's contributed to these. So the Local Access Forum has input to all these projects. So this is the bridge over the River Wye, down near Topley Pike Quarry, just on to the east of Buxton, within the national park. So a bridge here that's been closed for quite some time and has been funded by the Farming and Protected Landscapes. So work will commence on delivery for that. When I say work will commence, work has been commencing on delivery, but now it can actually be installed. So there's been the design, and now we can work to installing that, and that will be installed before March, because that's the end date of the Farming and Protected Landscapes programme. And then one more, please, Mike. Another Farming and Protected Landscapes one, and really you should have had Rebecca Newman promoting these. But I don't know if you can just see from that picture there. There's boardwalks and steps and railings, all rather dilapidated. So that's going to be upgraded, so it's along a flight of steps, and also at the same time replacing stiles here with gates. So they've all been funded by the Farming and Protected Landscapes. And then just the final slide from me. That's a really happy slide. We were so pleased for the opening of this Changing Place. It's a wonderful event organised by Tom Marshall from the authority. We had many people here. The MP for the High Peak area said changing places change lives, and it's so spot on, because it gives people that confidence to leave their home and explore. What we have to give them, it gives them that access to nature that we've been talking about, the health and well-being that comes from. It also allows those to stay longer in the area as well, so to explore more of the area. You've heard before about Changing Places, about what they provide, and what's within there, but I wanted to just show you that from the joy from everyone. That's toilet roll. So instead of cutting a ribbon, we did that. We did that with toilet roll, but also as well the beautiful design. So our planners and property team working very closely together on that to come up with a design that just fits so well into the landscape and for that site at Millersdale. And that's it. Oh, and one final thing, that was coordinating funding from a variety of different sources and making sure that it could be delivered by the time all the various end dates of the funding were running out. So it was it's quite a mammoth task to deliver something like this. We're going to be delivering another one at Parsley Hay before the end of March, in order to meet with the funding that we've had under DEFRA access for all. So I hope we can have a future site visit out to Changing Place. And at this location, and also at Parsley Hay, we have all the supporting equipment and the amazing routes, including as promoted by Miles Without Styles, so people can enjoy their day. Thank you.
Can I just add to because Laff will know about it, because I've been away, so I didn't get to catch up with the Crestbrook Bridge, which I know Martin was involved with and people have contributed to. That has also started work, and people have contributed to that, so the work has just started. That was made by the installation just started, so that bridge will be completed in the next month or two.
Right. Questions? Martin.
Sue, thanks very much. Really exciting, inspiring. On my way back from Castleton, I stopped off and had a look at the new access gate at Dirtlow Rake and went through it. That was all very lovely. And walked around it seems like it's like an enclosed sort of form of parking quarry bit or anything, but that was really good. I mean, just on your slides as well, really good to see that that squeeze style with that really sensitive piece of wooden gate next to it. I mean, it was a beautiful squeeze style on it, so was to keep that, but I thought that was really, really nice. And then the other thing also, just to, again, really great, good practice, is that the sort of like the metre of fencing of the wooden slats next to the gate, without barbed wire, which again really great to see on that. So yeah, thanks very much for those. They really do enhance the walking experience.
Thanks, Martin. Anybody else with questions or comments to Sue? Lovely, thanks very much indeed. Mike, have you got something?
Yeah, I thought it would be appropriate, really. Sue mentioned in her presentation about the Access Fund and that we've been managing now for about 10 years. The decision was made to bring the Access Fund under the umbrella of the Peak District Foundation, which is our charitable body, for those of you who don't know about this. So I've just asked for a brief update from the Peak District Foundation about the rebrand, as they refer to it. I'm just going to read this out, hope you'll bear with me. So this is from Jenny Seaman, who's our fundraising manager of the Peak District Foundation. Just an update on what's happening with the Access Fund, and it's now been rebranded as the Paths and Trails Appeal, which Sue referred to earlier. The Paths and Trails Appeal has a dedicated webpage on the Foundation website. This was launched in September 2024 and has already, the current balance at the moment is £5,333 already in that appeal. It includes a £2,000 corporate donation from holidaycottages.com and a £2,000 memorial donation. So that's where we are at the moment. Just in terms of the future plans, following a positive conversation with the British Mountaineering Council's Access and Conservation Trust, the Foundation have submitted an application seeking £5,000 donation to the appeal from the BMC's ACT. Decision expected imminently. We put a case together to the BMC. I think, well, they're just considering it at the moment. Over the next month, all National Park Visitor Centres will begin promoting the appeal and introducing a point-of-sale donation ask to all customers. The Foundation will begin promoting the Paths and Trails Appeal via social media and inviting donations in discussions with corporate partners, event organisers and individual donors. Meetings will be held quarterly with the Access and Trails teams, that's us, including our trails, the national High Peak, Monsterland, Tissington Trails, to decide how the funds can be most usefully be spent. So that's an update from Jenny. Any questions on that?
Great, thank you. Marvellous, right. If there's no further questions, then we'll move on to item 8, the review of directions. Again, that's Sue. I think you've all had the papers for that.
Thank you. This is an update on the review of long-term directions restricting access. So the report to the February Local Access Forum outlined which sites we were looking at over the following 12 months or so. And this is to update that the first 3 reviews have taken place and have been completed at Deer Hill, Diggle and West Nab. The forum provided a consultation response on all 3, and as a result of the forum's response and further discussions with the applicant stroke landowner, we went back and proposed a variation at West Nab, Bradfield, and that was a variation to the route and to the route through the site and the extent of the restriction based on when firing based on when shooting took place. As a result of that, the existing direction was varied as proposed, and the forum's consultation response is attached in Appendix 1. In relation to Hollins Hill, the restriction for this one, and I've tabled the maps of the consultation. So there's a number of maps in front of you. So the restriction relates to an exclusion of dogs whilst cattle are calving or have calves at foot. The landowner is based at Hollins Farm. The fields run directly behind the farmhouse. He has limited alternative space for his stock. And as part of all the consultations, there will be further discussions with the landowner to assess whether the direction as originally applied for is still appropriate and relevant in terms of its nature and extent. So consultation to the Local Access Forum. The consultation is attached in Appendix 2. If I can have any comments, there's 2 recommendations, please. The first is that the Local Access Forum confirms its consultation response attached in Appendix 1. And the second one is that the Local Access Forum, as a statutory consultee, considers whether they wish to make a response to the consultation in Appendix 2. One thing I haven't said about the Hollins Farm consultation is there is a conditional requirement as part of the direction restricting access, and that is for a permitted route to be provided and available at all times to link in access to this area of access land, and that provides a through route. So effectively, the restriction relates to those with dogs for 6 months a year. Thank you. Yes, the concessionary route, I will point out where it is because I've printed it out in black and white, sorry. So from the hatched area, at that bottom corner of the hatched area, there's a zigzag route showing in bold.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, thanks very much for that, Sue. Can I just take the first recommendation that we confirm the consultation response as in Appendix 1. Has anybody got any comment on that? Can I... So can I have a show of hands for approval? Thank you. Anybody against? Okay, thank you. Right, has anybody got any comments or questions of Sue on the Hollins Hill review? Claire?
I think at the moment options for linking up routes for people who set off walking with or without dogs in Hollins Clough are limited because of the TROs, which I think are for walkers. They're full TROs to everybody, aren't they? Up Swan and Lima Rake, and I can't remember the name. There are a few byways directly out of Hollins Clough which currently temporarily closed to all users. And I guess I just wondered, do we know when they are open? Because although I don't oppose this, we're further limiting people's opportunities to go for a nice circular walk from Hollins Clough.
Yeah, the update that I've had, there's been some quite extensive surfacing works taking place at Swan and Lima Rakes. The works, or the update that I had in August was that the works were virtually completed, and that's unbound surfacing and comprehensive drainage as well. So back then it was planned that the rakes would be reopened at the beginning of September. I'm not sure if it took place right at the beginning of September, but the rakes are now open. And there was a traffic order to prohibit motorised vehicles, so the routes are available for pedestrians, equestrians and cyclists only. There will be signage and gates in respect of that, and also sufficient width for equestrian and other users. There is also access for adjacent landowners. Swan and Lima Rakes are the other side of Hollins Clough. The Hollins Hill is to the, let me try and think, to the northwest of Hollins Clough. That is often walked as a circuit from Parkhouse and Crome direction as well. So it loops round directly from Hollins to link in with Hollins Clough, and those who would then wish to head southwards would pick up with Swan and Lima Rakes.
Has anybody else got a comment or question? Martin.
So just on the Hollings one, I noticed as well as the permitted access route, there's it looks like there's a dotted line with a footpath going diagonally across. I don't know whether is that on the ground. I don't think I know the area that well, and it seems to go across the access land and then continues up towards Swallow Brook. And if it's on the ground, will it have any effect?
There's nothing visible on the ground for that, so I'm not quite sure what feature it's picking up on. There are some other tracks in the area. Wait a minute. The part to the east of that track, I think that's used as vehicle agricultural access by the landowner. A lot of the routes immediately to the south of Hollins Farm. So the track which runs through Hollins Farm, there's no public access through there. So this is an example that when the Crow Act came in and areas of access land, we've said before that a third of the national park is access land, but in this area in particular, it provided the access. It's been subsequently connected through this link route, and that came about as part of initial negotiations dealing with the direction at Hollins Hill.
Sorry, I'll be really quick. Just following on from what Martin said and what Sue said, you know, we sometimes talk about using Strava heat maps. So I planned orienteering, like a running and walking orienteering from Hollins Clough in July, and I was looking at the Strava heat maps to work out, you know, with which of the concessionary footpaths are well used. They get really well used. It's absolutely brilliant to see. They're a really thick line. So I just thought I'd shout out for use of Strava heat maps, but also, yay, concessionary footpaths. Wonderful.
Sue?
And I just want to add in that this area was so well used that the gates didn't quite stand up to the level of use. So under anniversary gates, we did upgrade a lot of the access points here, including upgrading a stile to gate as well.
Oh, thanks, Sue. Thanks for that. Okay, so can we consider, do we wish to make a response, and if so, what that response should be? I don't detect that there is any wish to change what is already in place. So would it be okay if, I'm not quite sure whether it be me or Claire, but one of us writes to Sue to confirm that the local access forum are positive in our response to review the statutory directions. Anybody objects to that? Okay, fine, thank you. We'll do that, Sue, thank you. God, we're rattling on. Might have to do a song and dance in a minute. Right, so members' reports. I have actually got one on the Trails Management Plan. So the update is that in addition to the work that is detailed within the action plan, the Trails have also been responding to structure survey works to the tunnels and bridges, and that was completed in line with the prioritisations from the 6 yearly inspections. So regular inspection regime is in place, and regular vegetation clearance around structures is now part of the annual maintenance plan. The cutting walls, there's an ongoing project to develop a suitable solution to walls above cuttings. The annual risk assessments have been completed, and a number of walls are to have or have been relocated excuse me, from the edge of the cuttings with the agreement of the adjacent landowners. Car park management, some car parks are lined to increase capacity at appropriate car parks, and then there's been an introduction of charging to a number of car parks. The annual maintenance plan, it's continuing delivery of the annual maintenance requirements and repairs to keep the trails open to the public and well managed. I mean, the trails are a fantastic asset within the national park, and it's good to hear that the management plan is proceeding and that there are no major problems there at the moment. Helen Carrington is going to come to the next LAF meeting and will make a presentation on the trails management, and also she also manages the properties. So I think it would be interesting for members to hear her views on all of that. So thank you. Are there any other members' reports either already made known to Mike, or anybody has anything that they would like to update us on? No? Fine. Martin, definitive map online.
This morning, so hopefully it's going to work. To talk to you about mapping. As walking cyclists, I use the OS map, which I'm sure all you do, either a paper version or the fantastic online OS app, which you can put on your phone. And increasingly now, I find that I'm using my phone for mapping and walking than actually my paper map. I'm slightly worried that it's started to de-skill me. I'm trying to think if I can remember how to do a back bearing. But I think, but it's absolutely great. And one thing Sue was just talking about Hollings Cross here, and here this is from the OS, and how clearly it shows up, and you can see here the access land, which has got a wash. And I actually think the OS map is, I think it's absolutely beautiful thing. I would think I think it's hard to match it anywhere in the world. I'm sure people from other countries might question that, but I think the OS is absolutely fantastic. So that's that. But what I want to talk about is the definitive map. And as part of my role as a Rambler, if you remember when I was talking after Jack Cornish, I look after 1,700 kilometres of rights-of-way in Derbyshire Dales district. I have 40 parish path wardens to help me. I make my own reports to rights-of-way. The parish path wardens, the system I inherited is that they largely reported direct to me. I'm slowly getting them, training them up to report direct to rights-of-way, mainly because it cuts down on my workload, but also it's a little bit of Chinese whispers. So they then just give me a summary of their parish, and then I can just go through it and just have a look and see if there's any particular issues to go up. So a lot of the time is I spend reporting issues, which is part of my role, and that covers all the footpaths, the bridleways, the restricted byways, and the boats, in the usual things like missing signposts and broken stiles, broken gates. If there's a broken gate, I get asked by my parish path wardens, if the gate's broken, should I report it? And I say, well, only if it's obstructing the gap, because it's actually the gate is the landowner's responsibility. If the gate's by the side, that's not our issue, as long as we've got access. Other things like obstructions, vegetation, overgrowth and undergrowth. So that's part of the thing. So I just thought I'd just have a look at the definitive map. I'm going to have a look at the one for Derbyshire County Council. I know there's other local authority things. Anywhere in England and Wales, if you just want, so whatever local authority you're in, if you just Google definitive map and the local authority, so Leicestershire, you should take you a link to their definitive map. Most local authorities now have an online definitive map. The online definitive map is not the definitive map. That's right, isn't it? So the actual definitive map is still the paper copy, which is a large sheet which is kept somewhere in the archives or county council. But for all purposes, the definitive map is the one that you can use. And most cases, the definitive map lines match the OS footpath. So occasionally there's misalignments on that, but largely they do. But it's the definitive map legal line which is the important thing to have a look. Once you if you have a look at the local authority, you can also report issues through something called Fix My Street. And you might have done that for other issues, for that can be for highways, for potholes. Unfortunately, recently, Derbyshire County Council has stopped using Fix My Street for reporting. So you can still report it, but it won't be picked up by the County Council. And that varies. Leeds is also the same, whereas others do it. So the Fix My Street website is very, very easy to use. Basically, it uses the OS map. You load your photographs from a browser, and then you put in your report. I think there's a location detail and then details of the thing, and it takes a few minutes. Rutland County Council, they have used a hybrid of the Fix My Street, which seems to work very well. One thing's about reporting. Well, have a look at this in a minute. It's a very good website. Actually, I'll stop that. I'll show you this, and that's and we'll come back. Mike, are you So Mike, just explain, how did you get this up? What did you put in?
Sorry, I was just following you through. Do you want me to go back to square one? Okay, what I did was, firstly, search Derbyshire County Council rights of way, put that in the Google search engine. Up comes rights of way Derbyshire County Council. So there's the mapping portal which Martin is referring to, available there, and also from this same home page, you can report your rights of way issues. So, and you can also look at the definitive map itself as well. So, you want to talk about issues, or do you want to talk about the different...
Let's look at the map. Let's just show.
So then I went to, from the home page, you go to digital map, Derbyshire Mapping Portal, use the Derbyshire Mapping Portal, click on that, wait a little bit, pum pum, and then on the right hand side, you'll see there's a little, there we are, is it there?
It's the
Little
far
thing
one,
there.
yeah.
Top right hand corner, you've got this little multiple layer option. Go to that, scroll down to rights of way. You can see all sorts of stuff here, look, that's quite interesting. Anyway,
Mike,
that's where libraries are in. Anyway, we're looking at rights of way at the moment.
and could you also click on public rights of way maintenance, Mike?
Okay.
So click on that one, and then the one above rights of way.
Click.
Okay, and that then brings up.
There's a hell of a load of information.
If you can see on there, you can see all the red dots. Those red dots, this is for the contract programme for the next 12 months where signposts are going to go up. So if you're looking at a point and you think there's a missing signpost, before you report it, go and check that, that it's not already in the programme for that. Mike, could you just now zoom in and have a look at Bakewell? In fact, where we are, you're going to go up a bit, I think.
There we are.
Keep going. That's, yeah, and then just zoom in a little bit. You can, Mike, if you click on the top, you see that sort of go back to the map legend. If you go to this sort of the round circle with the cogs in, just click on that, and then again, and that takes away. So it gives you a bit more of the screen to have a look at. So recent introduction, there is an improvement from Derbyshire County Council, is that they've put in the red lines of the parish boundaries, so you can see what parishes it is, and they've also put the numbers for the rights of way. So if we're looking on here, 20, this is the one just exactly opposite when you come out of our drive. That purple line's a footpath. The green dashed lines are bridleways, and we'll see if we can find later on a restricted byway and a boat. So you've got various, the parish boundaries are really good. On that drop-down menu, there is something, there's a tab for boundary data, and that will also come up with district boundaries and local authority boundaries. But this has been really, really helpful to go and have a look at this. If you then just scroll up a little bit, Mike, and yeah, if we stop there, and then if you just zoom in a bit, and then go up a little bit, sorry, down a bit. Okay, and then if you go back to the tab menu at the top, over the far side.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll up to the top, keep going, keep going. Okay, and where it says OS colour, if you click on that little tab in the OS colour, okay, and then if you click on 1904 to 1939 OS, so you've got the historic maps for the OS. You can get all the mapping information for anything if you go and have a look at the Scottish Archives. So any mapping things is on that. Why it's in Scotland, why we're in England we need to go to Scotland, I don't know. But anyway, just to go back to this, one of the things I'm sort of interested in, we've talked about sort of like looking at claims and lost ways, and certainly claims through historical documentary evidence. What when I was having a look, if you have a look at this where the cursor is, can you see that path going through? It says FP, footpath. But if you have a look, so they've left in the lines, but it looks like it is no longer in place. So, and it looks as though to me as though there would have been a natural line from footpath 23 going right through to footpath 1. So I think at some point, I'm probably guessing that that's been extinguished. So that's probably been lost at some point. So this is an interesting thing. I think it also, I think I was going to have a look as well, is that the OS map, they also put in bridleways as well, BR somewhere, I think on one one place. I can't see it on there. Right, thanks, Mike. Could you go back to OS colour again? Just take us back. So bottom, yep. And could you click on adopted highways? And then just bring us back to where we are at Bakewell in our present place. And then zoom out a little bit. Just zoom out. Oh, sorry, zoom in, please. I think, yeah, footpath 20. No, just go down a little bit. Down. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that has. Just come out a bit. Just on. Just zoom out a little bit. You're in the right place. Just right, I think we can see, not particularly very well. The adopted highways, so here, at the end of this footpath here, this bit here is an AUPA, other route with public access, but what with the adopted highways, it just highlights it in a thin pink line, and it says it's an adopted highway. So at the moment, adopted highway means the status is yet to be returned. It's minimum rights of a walk. But again, when I'm out and about and looking, sometimes they pick up. I think you can see the pink lines. They obviously all the highways have done on that. Okay, and could you just take us now right down to Holland, near to Holland Ward, is outside the.
What's that? I've never heard of it.
Oh, just. So just keep going down.
You can put it in the thing.
Keep going down. Keep going down below Worksworths. We're outside, just outside. There we go. Yep.
Well outside.
And just if you look at Holland Parish, and then zoom in, and then just.
Is it there?
So yeah.
Oh, there, Holland. Got it.
You're on here.
I thought it said
Yeah,
Holland.
and then just send it a little bit, and then
There it is.
and bring it down. That's right. First of all, you can see the two red dots. So you see that red dot on here, Holland Parish. There is actually a signpost in place for that on here. What I want to do is, Mike, can you just show us that one of those photographs of the on your desktop to just briefly zip out of this and bring. So I was out there recently at Holland Ward, and we've got a parish path warden for that. They asked me to go look at another couple of issues whilst I'm there. This is a footpath, and you can see the footpath should be going straight through. It's completely obstructed by maize on this. So I thought we'd just have a look, just start and have a look and try and report this. I haven't reported it yet, so if you go back to the map, Mike. And then just zoom in a little bit more.
Them dots.
And yeah, just around there, just centre that a little bit more. And then zoom a bit more. Okay, yeah, brilliant. Okay, Mike, could you just put the cursor just on that point where my finger is?
There.
You just on there.
There.
Yeah. And click. Aha. So the start of the reporting process is I click on that point on there, and that is where the access track, that was where the maze is obstructed to go through, and this is part of the reporting process to go through. If I want a grid reference, I take the first, ignore the first one, take the 8-figure grid reference, take those 4, and then take those 4 there. That gives me a grid reference. If I'm doing a report, I try and give at least 2 or 3 location details, so it helps rights of way officers to find it on here. You can also, on the OS map, if you look on that, if you right click it, it'll give you a 10 grid reference, so you can use that as an alternative on here. Would you then go to click to inquiries, and then just scroll down, and then make an inquiry. and this is the start of the progress. I'm going to stop there because I need to log in onto here, and this is so this is really on how to report. It then takes you through a menu system. For those of you, has anyone who's reported issues?
I've used Fix My Street a lot, it's just easy.
Sorry?
Fix My Street's dead easy, isn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't, but you see, Derbyshire County Council don't use it.
Yeah.
So it's perhaps Mike has to minute. Okay, if you're happy to, perhaps we can do this. Brilliant. So this is the reporting process to go through. I think it's something like up to, if you go to continue, and then just scroll down, it should have got us there. Yeah, go next. I don't new things, and then go up a little bit. So let's go to obstructions. Let's go to path obstructed. See if that's that. So it's got ploughing but not crops.
There's vegetation.
Just go to path obstruction. See if and then scroll down.
Next.
And then scroll down again. Okay, this takes you to a second map, and I'm not quite sure why this is. And what we've got to do, Mike, is we've got to find the footpath in Holland.
I don't even know where Holland is.
So, and so you're on Turnditch. Yeah, you're on Turnditch. So just go back up a bit. Go back up a bit. It's below Carsington Water, which was on there.
We're going to go in with a stroke.
Yeah, so go Carsington Water here, right, on this one, yeah, and then just go down, zoom out, zoom in, keep going, right,
That's Wessington.
Wessington, we're off the map.
No, that wasn't Carlsington. The wrong place with Carsington. I don't know. Near Carsington.
Was that not Carsington Water up to the
No,
north?
it was Carsington.
Yeah, no, it was another lake.
Oh, was it?
One thing you can see is how poor this map is. So you know the previous one, how beautiful it was, and this one, I mean, having used it many times, it still takes me a long time to actually find the location. Why they use this, I don't know. If anybody, Jill, if corporate IT, it just seems.
It'll just be the legacy system. They built this first.
Yeah.
And the other one is a front on top of it that they've got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
down a bit.
Down a bit.
Oh, we're going off the radar,
Yeah. Oh, there's Carsington Water. Right, so we're just below here somewhere. Yep, Holland. Right. Bring it. Yeah, centre Holland. And then zoom in. You can see, I mean, I'm sure now, is anyone still awake? Using the will to live. I mean, each time. And one of the things is, so I've counted 20 steps to report an issue for Derbyshire County Council. Many wonderful things, but 20. One of the buttons, it says continue. And I'm thinking, what else will I be doing halfway through? I mean, it's just in comparison. I've been down in Rutland, around Oakham for a short holiday, and I had 6 issues, which I just did yesterday. They have this hybrid Fix My Street. It took me 21 minutes to do 6 reports straight through. Using this system here, it would take me at least 3 times. So that's 6, that would be an hour to do it. So,
Is early when you before you got to make the inquiry, you clicked on the, you clicked on the point, it brought up the number of the footpath and where it was located and the grid reference, and then you go to the inquiry and it sends you in here. Why can't they just pull the information from that initial bit, save all of it? It's already there, isn't it?
Charlotte, the reason I haven't got any hair is precisely because of that. It's just I know. You would just click on it and it would go straight to it. I mean, there is an email directly for rights of way, but they don't like that because they it's all part of their data collection that it needs to go in through the mapping portal. They also don't like more than one issue. So if there's a broken style and a signpost at the same place, they really want you to offer 2 reports on here. Just let's see if we can just get a little bit further. Just go slightly up, we're just at the top here. And then, so at this point, you need to remember roughly where the thing is. Now, I don't, actually just zoom in a bit more, see if it comes up. A bit more, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep... So at this point, you then get back to... Zoom in again.
My stopwatch says 23 minutes and we've not even done one.
So this is footpath Holland footpath 22. That was where the red dot was on here. So this is the start of it. It comes across here. There's an access track. There's a large sliding gate along here, and then there's a fence boundary. So our maze, that star picture, was at that point. So if you just click on that, I think it might have doubled. Yes, excellent. So that puts the marker on there. Right. Okay. Scroll down. So, go to click that and then go to next. It's I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to come out in the minutes. There's going to be lots of graphics and diagrams. Right. So the first thing is when the issue was observed. Mark, I can't remember. So if you go back to the photograph, can you just get that photograph up? And then just close it down.
Close that down.
Yeah. Go back and then, but show me the photograph on the desktop. And then go to the photograph and right-click it. No. Close it down again.
Minimise or close.
Close it. And then just right-click and... no, it doesn't do it. What I've been trying to do is trying to get the properties and get the date, but I can't do that.
Maybe like one gentle left click, that might do it.
Oh yes, show more options, go down to the bottom, and go to properties, and so I walked it on the 13th of October, so my location of the date. Go back to the map, please. So then put in the 13th of October. Actually, it can't be right. Anyway, let's put it in, doesn't matter. Right, the next thing is, the location is Holland footpath FP 22. And the grid reference is SK 2428 4795. And description of fault is footpath obstructed by maize crops. We're nearly there, I promise. Okay, that's a very thing. And then just scroll down, go down to the box at the bottom. Okay, go to upload. And can you put those 2 photographs from your desktop onto there? They're one at a time, so from the desktop.
Go up to the top of the list, they're the ones called 100.
Oh yes, 39 and 40. And then just go to upload. Oh, sorry, open. I think of that. In the description of fault, I usually go and number. I put the fault path numbers on it, so I try and normally give a lot more detail as to what to it. The maize crops also, they went right the way through. There's some pylons going past, so I give it more for that. We're also at, but we'll just continue and go to next. And then scroll down. You see how many continues and next there are to go through, and then there's another next.
How do you report this, Mike, where you didn't even know where Holland was?
And scroll down.
And it's not in the national park.
Scroll down. Okay, now we'll stop there a bit, Mike, because you might not want to submit it in case they wonder. Vicky Keelan is probably... Vicky Keelan is very thinking, why is Mike Rose sending me this? So if you want to stop at that point, the problem also, the problems continue because, of course, once you press submit, you then get an email through to your email where you've done it from, but it only sends a reference number. So if you go back to that, go back to that description, what I tend to do is I copy the location details into the description box. I then copy the entire text and I copy it to an Excel spreadsheet, so I've got a copy. Again, with Rutland County Council, my 6 issues, I send them all off. They send me an issue with the photographs and my description ready to go. But all county councils, I get a reference number. And then when I first started, I just used to get these reference numbers from one of the officers saying, sort of Holland Port footpath 7 completed. And I'm thinking, like 6 months ago, what was it? So that's why I now have to keep a record of things. So that is the process of using the definitive map thing. So I'm sure this evening, if you haven't got much to do, you will be. Alex, so I don't know. I hope that's been of help.
Can I ask a quick question?
And I will report that under my own name, Mike.
I can submit it for you if you want.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sorry?
So people have said that other authorities use Fix My Street. Is Fix My Street a much quicker and easier process?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So can we write to Derbyshire and ask them why they've stopped using it? Rather, because fixing this and making this easier is going to mean somebody writing an API. It means a digital team. But if they could just say, could we just use Fix My Street because everybody else is using it? That would seem to be.
If you aren't using Fix My Street, is there any way that you can tell people that you're not? Because I'm just wondering how many people might be reporting it on Fix My Street. I'm wondering why DCC is not bothering to respond.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, and I exist in this world quite a bit of my working life in these kind of graphic interfaces and user journeys. Why is it so hard? It doesn't need to be this hard. Mapping software and technology is so much easier to use now, and it's all there. This just looks like an exercise in trying to make it really hard for people so that you have a dropout rate as people go through. Because I lost the will to live after about click number 17 or 18 on this.
When you go to other local authorities, say this is just for England and Wales. If you start with Fix My Street, you go through the process, and then it will alert you if the local authority doesn't acknowledge it. You can still use it and still put it up there. It has some use as well. Mike has done it. So it gives you a case reference number, which again, if you just go to your email, Mike.
Close it down so it'll be my email.
Yeah. The other definitive map in Leeds is a definitive map for Leeds. They, as well as showing rights of way, they've got a separate category which they call non-definitive rights of way, and they show those in green. And because Leeds have got quite a lot of countryside, but obviously largely it's a city. But that's really useful because it shows all the jitties, the ginnels, and some of them are adopted, but some of them aren't. But it gives you an idea. Now, of course, they're non-definitive. But it gives you an idea that it's potential for claims, and it also just shows you where they are. So when I was up in up in Leeds in Armley, I'm looking and thinking, well, hang on, I wonder if there's one through there, and I'll have a look. So I can either look on the ground or I can look on the map, and I think that will be a great addition, and it just sort of sets it up, because again, back we were talking about sort of getting people out, and certainly poorer areas, the more access we have to things, the better. So anyway, that's the definitive map, which is a joy to use and very great to have a look and use a lot, but it's just the reporting mechanism, which is probably the things. Any other questions?
Claire.
Okay.
Claire.
Yes.
Claire.
Okay.
Do you have any problems with the lack of, with things not matching up with your photo GPS tags versus the maps? Because I spend a bit of time when I'm planning an orienteering map, so I take like the OS map or something, and then I might drop my pins using Google Earth, and then they don't, like they're close, but they don't quite match because of the Mercator projection, you know, the curvature of the Earth correction thing. And I thought if the photos are probably got a GPS tag, and the maps potentially don't use the corrected Mercator projection thing, are your photos off? Do you ever find that? I just wondered if it's a problem.
I have to say, I'm aware of this now. I think we saw with digital things. I've got an iPhone, but I don't use it. I use a separate camera for photographing, mainly because I take so many. But also a lot of the time, I've been out in the rain and I've managed to ruin at least one phone and one camera. So I just use I've got a water-resistant camera. But I am aware that if you use a phone, you know, it's all digital. It's got imprints and things. So that at some point, I think I will probably move to that, and that would make it a lot easier. And I know just Kenyon's, he's been looking at a system where you can sort of like report directly to it, which he's been trialling. And again, that would be much easier. I mean, so much easier. You know, broken gate, take a photograph, quick photograph, and then just, you know, with a couple of clicks, then just send the problem straight in there and then. I mean, one of the problems with retrospective is I have to come back. I mean, I've got to remember what I'm doing. So where was that style? Was it the third field, the fourth field to go through? And I can usually remember and then go to the grid reference. But if I could do it, you know, at that time and then report it, how much better that will be. Of course, the problem is for rights of way team, I think they're already overwhelmed. If it becomes a lot easier, someone saying about ease of use and things, I think they will just be getting a huge increase in issues. And most people, I mean, say my parish path wardens who are moving towards it, but some of them still contact me, ring me up and say, how do I do this? And I think for the general public.
Yes.
Sorry, I get the point about the overwhelmed rights of waiting if people were better able to report things, but is that the right place to put the choke on this? Preventing people reporting it. That really should be overwhelmed because there are results. It kind of seems a little bit reverse logic. Let's make it harder so we can
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is, I mean, when people ask me on lots of things, they say, well, what's the point? You know, they usually think, oh, what's the point? You know, the council never do anything. I say, well, no, that's not true. They do lots of things, things and things. But I think one of the things, it's really important to report it. If you don't report it, it doesn't go into the data system. And I guess I understand how I understand it is that if the issues go in, if you know, a number of things, and eventually someone flags it up and says, hang on, I'm overwhelmed in whatever area I work in, and they go to their line manager, and it goes up, and eventually it goes to councillors and say, this is an issue, you know, council funding, we need to prioritise. I mean, that's my understanding of how democracy works and the funding. So if it doesn't go in, if you haven't got the data, you've got no chance of actually making the case for it. So this is why I say to everybody, anything, you know, report it, put it in, and put it into rights of way, and then, you know, Vicky, isn't it, Vicky Keelan now, the rights of way manager, she can then, and Rob's her line manager, she can go through and say, I just need more support. That seems to me, in these days of austerity, add to the 22 billion black hole.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Well, Martin, I was going to say thank you very much for that. I mean, it really highlights the problems that there are, the wonderful resources that there are out there, and how if they were a little bit better joined up, it could serve the people much better. Is it the wish that we cobble together a letter to DCC and just say that this is what we found, and we can do that, Martin? Can we do that? Yes, we'll do that.
The video of what's just happened.
Well, no, the video of this will just go. Yes, it has. It has.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously.
Yeah.
Send them that link and just say, what's this?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fabulous. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I mean, I think I'm just about to, I've been given a record, and so at my year end, and I think I'm about to, I've just been looking through about 250 reports with a mixture of me and the Path Board and so I do for. But the positive is for rights of way, you know, a large part of the reports that I put in are dealt with. And I think that is something, certainly for Derbyshire Dales, and I think as a peak part, we could look at the other local authorities and Staffordshire and say, is that the case? But say Derbyshire County Council, I think, you know, that's hats off. You know, they do. The signposts go up, you know, gates and stiles are repaired on things, obstructions. I mean, they've got a clearance thing. And I know when we've been to other parts of the country, you know that this is just not happening. So I think, you know, I think that's because Derbyshire takes its tourism very seriously. So, you know, I think, you know, say report it, and, you know, there's a good chance that it will be being done. And I think, again, I suppose for the team, is that they have to do a sort of list of priority. I mean, I send things in and think, well, is this really to do it? But my view is largely, I then leave them to decide it. That's they're the professionals and do it. It's only occasionally, if I've looked at it, I might come back and say, could we look at this one again? You know, it's things. So you know, I think really positive for Derbyshire Dales, Derbyshire County.
Yeah, thank you. Can we go on to item 11, which is the sort of the nitty-gritty of how we're moving forward now that we're going on a rolling chair basis. So Claire will be chair. As of the end of the meeting, I will hand over to Claire, and she will be chair for the next meeting, and then she will hand over to somebody else. Claire came to the planning meeting for this meeting so that she'd got a feel for the issues, the discussions around the back of the meeting. So whoever will take over after Claire, we would invite them to come to the next planning meeting so that they've got a feel for what, you're not sort of dropped in at day one, you are involved. And Martin and I would tend to copy things in. Martin and I will be the continuity behind the meetings, so things that are going to be ongoing, we will have a watching brief over that. We will try to get the minutes out earlier. We've not got a definite time span for that, but certainly they will be out a lot sooner than before the next meeting, so that people have got an opportunity, if there is something that needs to be raised and needs to be dealt with, so that the chair will have the backup of the previous meetings. We're also going to put together a sort of crib sheet with issues that have arisen in past minutes, so that things don't just get lost in a piece of paper, that they will be carried forward, because sometimes issues will be there for a year, maybe 2 years, and we just need to keep a handle on where things are. So that's sort of how we would like to move forward, and we hope that all of you will at some point have a go at being chair. It will rely on people to just say, yes, I will do it for one meeting. Hopefully somebody at some point will say, well, actually that was all right, I enjoyed doing that, I might take it on for a year or 2 years or something like that. But in order to keep us going, we're just having a rolling chair on a meeting by meeting basis at the moment. We're going to look at themes for those meetings moving forward. So the theme for the next one is management of public access. I don't know, Mike, if you want to chip in here.
Yeah, we've got Helen Carrington, who's our trails manager in minor properties that Charlotte referred to earlier, and Dan Taberner from Severn Trent Water is coming to talk about the trials of the Severn Trent have been trying on Lady Bower, access to water on Lady Bower, and Carsington wild swimming. So he's going to be presenting on that. So I think we'll sort of lump those two together under the sort of theme of the management of public access. So next meeting, 19th of February. Put that in your diaries. Claire will be chairing. The theme will be the management of public access with speakers Helen and Dan. 19th of February next year. Yeah, be there.
I say this all the time, but can we get the dates in the diary officially? So,
yeah, the outlook.
I think they.
Oh, they might already be in.
I think they're already in. I think so. But we are looking forward to June. Sorry. So we are looking forward to, as Charlotte was saying, we really need a commitment for somebody to stand as chair for the June meeting.
Yes.
So that when we have so Claire will be chairing effectively from now until the end of the meeting on the 19th of February. But if we are able to establish a commitment of somebody to chair the meeting in June, then we can ensure that there's a smooth transition. So, any volunteers? June the 16th. Oh.
Ooh.
Does that mean I get stuck with it?
Okay, okay, we'll leave that for now, and I'm going to lean on someone in the meantime.
Yes, yes.
Is it 16th? Should be in the minutes of the last meeting.
11th.
Is it 11th? Sorry, 11th of June. So the dates for the meetings in 2025, for those who don't have them in your calendars, I think I sent out the calendar invite. Wednesday 19th of February, Wednesday the 11th of June, and Wednesday the 15th of October.
Could you resend the calendar invite then?
Yeah, I'll send the calendar invite.
I don't know if it matters, but the February date's during school term.
Is it?
I'll certainly be slow.
But we try to avoid that after. After does differ in different areas. Yeah. Well, that's a good point actually, because I might be away. I'll have to check on that one. But we'll stick with 19th for now, and we'll yeah.
Okay. Fabulous.
That's it.
And unless anybody's got anything else, we're finishing quarter of an hour early. So, thank you. Yes.
I should have done it members updates. Apologies.
Please.
Well, I wondered if it might be useful just, I didn't come to the last meeting, so we've had a new government since, just a bit of a round robin of stuff that's happened or not happened or...
Fantastic. That would be really useful.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be useful. Sorry, I was a bit slow on the uptake on the members' report.
Yes, thank you.
For anybody who doesn't know me, I work for Paddle UK, and so I do quite a lot of work in and around pestering MPs, ministers, DEFRA, DCMS, that sort of stuff, and work very closely with the Ramblers, BMC, Horse Society, Open Space Society, under the guise of the Adults for All group network, with which we've now got 51 organisations. So we're up to 51 different organisations from access and conservation that have signed up to the manifesto now that we produced pre-election. So we've got quite a lot of weighting at the moment. So I just thought it'd be useful just to kind of give a bit of a update on stuff that's happened. So we obviously had an election and a new government. Those of you, some might have seen in the Labour manifesto, there was two interesting commitments. One was to 3 new forests, and one was to 9 new river walks, national river walks. So we've not yet heard how they're going to deliver these river walks, where they're going to deliver them, and what they're going to look like, which is interesting. I think the DEFRA are absolutely focused at the moment on the spending review and the budget, which is obviously 2 weeks away. So there's not really been any announcements on what they want to do on access and what their policies might be. Pre-election, they were talking about expanding open access rights. They were talking about responsible access to the countryside. They did jettison the kind of right to roam language. And I think quite a lot of the landowning representative bodies saw that as a massive victory. But I still think there is an intention to do something around access. We're still quite optimistic and interested to see what might come in the next few weeks or months. We believe there's an announcement coming, but we don't know what that might be. But certainly Labour have committed to these 9 new river walks, which is really interesting. So some of the work I've been doing locally, just to let you in on the work I've been doing from a canoeing perspective, is trying to befriend the local MPs. I'm working my way up the Derwent. I've done Derby North, I've done Mid Derbyshire, I've done Derbyshire Dales next Friday, so I'm doing next Friday, and I've got yet to meet John Pearce up High Peak, to try and get them into the idea that, wow, what a great place the Derwent Valley would be to have. We've got a river walk, but is it a national standard river walk? Could it be better? Could it be more open to more users? And why won't we use the blue bit, the wet bit that's in the middle? So that's something that I'm doing myself. Just other stuff that's happening as well. As soon as the government came in, it announced a rapid review of the Environmental Improvement Plan. Some of you will know that I've talked in the past about the 15 minutes to nature commitment the last government signed up to in the EIP. And so DEFRA at the moment are doing a rapid review. It's not that rapid because they're not reporting until the end of the year, but they're looking at, well, what's in the, how do they make quicker, better progress on the Environmental Improvement Plan, recovering nature, and within that, the access to nature within 15 minutes commitment. It's uncertain whether they're going to jettison that. There has been some rumours that they might just get rid of it altogether, which would be a big shame. I mean, it is only a kind of a nice to do. It's not got any statutory, compulsory legislation requirement for anyone to do anything behind the 15-minute commitment, but it is there. So we've written the Ramblers, BMC, Paddle UK, Horse Society, Open Space Society. We've written to the Secretary of State to ask them to keep the 15 minutes to nature commitment and actually strengthen it and make it into a statutory requirement to make sure it happens. So that's happening. And just a couple of other things on a sort of a water basis. I don't think this is tangential to the Access Forum. I think it's absolutely relevant because we talked about health earlier, and the quality of the place you do your activity has a direct bearing on your enjoyment and in that place. So the protection of our environment is just as important as our access to it. And water, as many of you know, sorry, Alistair, is a massive topic at the moment. You know, all the water companies have had a tough time of it, and this government has come in and set it out really clear intention to tackle water quality, tackle sewage pollution. They've brought a new water special measures bill, which is mainly around governance, but they have talked about radical reform of the water sector coming very soon after, and there being public consultation. So I think this is really important because we've got the Derwent Valley, the River Derwent is right in the middle of our patch, and it created quite a lot of our patch. So water, the wet bit, is really important to our enjoyment of the valley. You know, we walk along it, we look down on it, and so the health of it, the protection of it in future, or the degradation of it, is actually a key issue for people who enjoy it, and that I think that's why it's pertinent to this group. So I think that's just something to keep an eye on. When and how that consultation in future legislation might happen is yet to be announced. But I don't think it's just water users or scientists that should be inputting into that. I think it should be recreational users as well, which is why I've sort of mentioned it here. So there's quite a lot going on at the moment, but not a great deal of clarity as to what DEFRA are going to do in terms of access. Just a bit of a proposal for this group maybe is what we've been pushing as the Outdoors for All collective group network, whatever we want to call ourselves, for a white paper. We think that's the right thing to do, that the government should do a white paper to set out proposals on what it's going to do. I doubt we'll get a white paper. There's some people say we might get a green paper, which is a bit more of a let's explore all the things we could do without any commitment. So it would be great if this group were ready, should that opportunity arise, to input into a green paper or a consultation on access. And I wonder how prepared we are, should that opportunity come anytime soon, to have some priorities for access. You know, what are the things that we want to do in the Peak National Park? You know, what are our priorities for more people accessing, more user types, the protection of nature, the management? And I just wonder whether that might be worth a discussion on, or a separate group on, to come up with some priorities, just so we're ready to be part of the process when and if we get a chance to input into future legislation. So I'm just putting that out there as a suggestion, maybe for a future meeting, is to have a discussion on why don't we come up with a 5, 6, 7 top priorities for the park. They could be quite high level. You know, whether is it increased rights of way funding for local authorities? Is it expanding access to more users? Is it education and countryside code? Is it? Sorry, I wrote a list. So I'm quite happy to send that around. I think that would be time well spent looking forward to what the park and what access could look like, so we're ready when the opportunity, when the opportunity comes.
I don't want to speak for Claire, because obviously it will be for her, but the theme for the next meeting is the management of public access, so it's very much part of that. I don't want to put you on the spot, Ben, but could you lead on that for us? Do a paper.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we had a Outdoors for All call. We had 37 of the 51 on a call last week, so which is the group I chair, and we talked about, well, what does responsible access look like? What sort of priorities might be? What might the countryside code? So we're starting to kind of get into the weeds of some of these issues. So I'm happy to make some suggestions and then throw it to, and then it's for the group to shape, not for me. But
yeah, that would be brilliant.
Easier than start looking at a blank piece of paper, maybe some suggestions.
Yes. We did also say that with the change of government, that it would be pertinent for us to introduce ourselves to the new MPs, and perhaps that's something that we could do either before or after. So where are we? February. I mean, they're obviously inundated. It's when you pitch it, really. I don't know what you think. Should we go sooner rather than later?
I can help with that. As long as you don't mind going paddling on Lady Bower, because I'm trying to get them all out paddling. I've done 3 out of the 4. So, yeah. But no, I'm happy to try and set up a meeting, maybe invite some others. I've been doing them one-on-one with a few local volunteers, but maybe we expand it out to Peak Laugh.
Yeah.
And just get a few more people there and talk about access more widely.
And also with the active travel stuff that we're doing now, we are looking at rights of way and where gaps are, and how we can start to get people feed in from the external conurbations. Martin.
Yeah, I just say with local MPs as well. We've also got a new mayor as well for Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, whose I think remit is travel, and of course Secretary of State and Louise Hay in Healy. So yeah, we've got some things. And Ben, just on the anything on the 2031 cut-off date of the, as you said, it's in the balance, and also the coastal path up. The Ramblers have sent me a consultation for February next year, just to fill in on that. It looks like it's behind schedule.
On the latter, I don't know, because we haven't had any meetings with DEFRA for, well, since well before the election. So it's been a long time since. So I wouldn't know. Ramblers would probably be able to respond. And on the other one was the first. So the only thing I've got to go off that was pre-election, when we had the Outdoors for reception. Toby Perkins, who was then the shadow DEFRA minister, his words were less inclined to support any extension to that. He was more of the mind that there should be a deadline, and that focuses minds, etc. Now that's not what we're saying. We're absolutely pushing for an extension to it and for more resources to go into it. So I haven't got any more until we find out where DEFRA, where their thinking is at. But I know the Ramblers are in to see Baroness Hayman in a couple of weeks, and so am I in 3 weeks. So maybe that's something we bring up. That's the big question mark at the moment. So I speak to Guy and the Right to Roam guys quite frequently. They were down in Westminster last week doing because the Dartmoor case has restarted again. So that was interesting. They had a big do outside the Supreme Court, which I met them at. They're starting to gather quite a caucus of MPs around Right to Roam. My sense is, and my feeling is that I don't know if the government would be minded to go as far as that, but I think it's important to have that debate and for Right to Roam to push and you know let's be expansive in our thinking as we can. Whether or not the government will want to go that bold with whatever the legislation they bring, I'm not sure. So we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe in the next few weeks and months we might find more after the spending review and the budget.
Well, certainly the right to road thing, my big interest is the network of paths where you arrive at a busy road and you're then walking on an A road or a B road, which is absolutely lethal. Why can't I just nip over the gate and then walk on the inside of the path or even the crops or the thing, just to the 200 or 300 metres till I get to the next thing. That's my main interest in actually linking up, our present rights of way network. And I think for landowners, the big worry is that old people are going to be going everywhere. But most rights of way network, I never meet anybody on it. Access land, most people don't go over the majority of it because you're not going to go. No one's going to go through knee-high heather. They want to stick to the paths and things. So I think there's certain areas like up at Castleton, on Monday, I can see there are big issues if you have that going everywhere with millions of people. But I'm sure that can be managed, and as we've done today, Sue's talking about, they're putting restrictions for access land. I'm sure we can put in a system and have safeguards to make sure, and then it comes back to the other thing we mentioned about, well, then it's education, it is how, the other side as well. It's not just rights but responsibilities.
Thank you. Right.
Just to fill in the last 3 minutes before 12. No, just a quick thing. Mentioned walks along rivers, and the Trent Valley Way does actually exist. It's 154 miles, and we've been busy waymarking it for the past few years with the Trent Rivers Trust. So, not in the peak, but that has.
Oh, that's fascinating.
What's going on.
Thank you. Right.
Do you want to say anything, Sue, about this afternoon, or is that all done?
Yes, please. I'd like to introduce Fiona Groves. Fiona is our lead on this afternoon's workshop. We will also be joined over lunch by people representing the British Mountaineering Council, British Horse Society, Disabled Ramblers, and the National Trust as well, who will be contributing to this workshop and future meetings of the stakeholder working group. So you will be seeing everyone over lunch. We've left some sandwiches for them, so don't think we've gone crazy with the lunch orders. Thank you.
Okay, lunch is served.
Great. Thank you all very much for your attention and your attendance. Thank you.